any providers in the community? Oh, got it. Any providers in the community working, in homeless services or related population that we're collaborating with. So please feel free to invite other partners that you know of that are not aware of this, as well as we're always looking for community partners to come and present, whether that be about your organization, a program you have, or an event maybe you have coming up. We're always we can share as a resource. We're always looking for folks to come and present. Please reach out to me if you're ever interested in presenting at one of the meetings. And reminder that they occur the second Thursday of every month, bright and early. Some housekeeping rules. Please remember to keep yourself muted. If you have any questions, go ahead and raise your hand. And feel free to type questions, comments in the chat as well. And now I can't change. There we go. So for today's agenda, of course, welcome you all, which I just did. We'll give a couple updates and share some resources, which we will discuss our TAY Housing Security Fund, and then also a little plug for a holiday toy drive event happening this Saturday in Concord. I just have some very minor coordinated entry updates. Tammy or the red team will give some updates. We'll have some updates from Jamie, Jeanette, as well as not on here, but a PIT update. And then if we have any announcements or success stories to share, folks are welcome to jump in. So our first update, or our first resource that we wanted to share today was giving a plug for our TAY Housing Security Fund. So the TAY Housing Security Fund provides housing assistance of up to $10,000 per eligible TAY, 18 to 21 years old. I think that age is important to know here, since in some of our other TAY programs, it's 18 to 24. Unfortunately, this one is 18-21, but hopefully there's still, many folks in that age group that need services. These funds of up to 10K can cover things such as rental deposit, rent, utilities, things like that. It does not come with any case management. So this is really for TAY who have housing identified. It is just financial assistance. There is no services attached. So if you have, say you come across a TAY that's like reaching out to your agency or your program saying like, hey, I, am homeless on the streets, or I was kicked out, or I'm staying, like I'm couch surfing, and I, identified a place, but I have, no money for deposit. Is there assistance? Things like that. They can reach out to be screened. But they should have the housing identified. So they should say, I found a place, I just need to get the deposit together. I was approved for an apartment, I applied, but I need like deposit help and maybe a few months of rent, or maybe I owe PG&E and I want to get PG&E started. So, things like that. The TAY that are prioritized are TAY who were ever or are in the foster system. So maybe former foster youth, or on state or wherever on state probation. I know that's a little different from like federal probation, but this would be for state probation. So they were released from like a state jail or prison. I don't know if that's correct, but I do know it prioritizes state probation. And all homeless TAY within this age group that have the housing identified, they can be referred. We do have a goal to serve 8 more TAY by March of 2023. So, we really appreciate your guys' collaboration and help in reaching this goal. Questions and referrals can be sent to Jennifer Duncanson at Hope Solutions. Hope Solutions does help us administer this funding, basically cutting the checks. Jennifer Duncanson, who's one of their rapid rehousing program managers, she's able to screen any referrals that you send over, answer any questions that you may have. probably more questions than I may be able to answer for you today personally. I do see some hands. So just I will get to those hands and try to answer the questions, but just in case, please note Jennifer Duncanson's email. We can also go ahead and this will be sent out later too. But yeah, we really want to make sure this funding gets utilized. I know a lot of times, of course, the biggest challenge is for folks trying to locate housing, but sometimes there are those folks coming into our system that they just need a little financial assistance. So this is really a great opportunity for them. And it's a very quick turnaround time, so I know in a lot of cases, people are like, I reached out and I waited a month, of course, no housing is going to wait for me, but this is a very quick turnaround if you're able to get a referral sent to Jennifer right away from when a TAY identifies housing. I'm going to go ahead and go to questions. So Wayne, I saw your hand first. Go ahead, Wayne.
Thank you, Mary. Two questions. One is coming out of our program, we have a lot of people moving into SLEs. So the question is, the housing identified, what kind of documentation do they require to identify the housing? Do you need some paperwork from the SLE or something like that?
So I believe, and maybe Shelby or Jamie or someone else from my team might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it would need to be for permanent housing, meaning, which it's not to say that an SLE could not be considered that, but I think that they need to have a lease. They need to sign a lease. So we would need that kind of verification. And I believe the lease would need to be for the term of 1 year or longer.
Okay.
So that it's considered permanent housing. So that would be one of the documentations. Then I know, of course, in general, aside from a lease that they have signed saying that they're able to live there and how much rent they would pay, what's included with that. Aside from that, I know in order for checks actually to be paid, we need like a W-9 from a landlord, or is it a W-4? I always get the W-9. But exactly. So I don't know if anyone else on my team is able to clarify further for Wayne. I think that's, from my understanding, it's for permanent housing. Michael, do you know?
It is permanent housing placements, but again, permanent housing is something that doesn't have an expected end date. So if the SLE doesn't have a projected end date, then that would be considered permanent housing.
SLE doesn't have a projected end date, but it also doesn't have a lease. And so would rented rooms and things like that, the most common places that people would be coming out of homelessness. So what I'm hearing is there's some wiggle room here, and I'll reach out to Jennifer and see what we can come up with. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And just to be clear, this is one of the most flexible funding pots for TAY that we have. So there is that wiggle room, and yeah.
Yeah, so that sounds like, Wayne, if you come across a TAY that's in that situation, go ahead and err on the side of let's put it in and see what Jennifer says. And it sounds like it's a possibility.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Leslie?
This is super exciting. Thank you very much. We'll follow up with Jennifer on a lot of questions, but the bureaucratic question that I had was, what's the source of the funding?
The source of the funding is state HNP, so Housing Navigation Program, or Homeless Navigation Program. Anyways, it comes from the state through CFS at EHSD, and then that's a partnership with H3.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep. Are there any other hands? I can't see any, but I also can only see 4 people on my screen, and that's me, Leslie, Michael, and Wayne. So
Mary, I just want to add, I just dropped a link to that state program in case people want to nerd out. I think Michael just verified that that's the right link, but in case people are wondering more about the funding source.
Love it. Thank you, Jamie. Any other questions or comments about the TAY Housing Security Fund? Or anyone else from my team have anything to add that I didn't mention that we should know?
This is Jamie, Jeanette. I think I know the answer to this, but assuming that, well, actually, I won't assume. Does 211 know about this? So like if they have a TAY that calls that kind of has this challenge, does do the 211 call center people know that this is an option, or like would they sort of need to touch our homeless system of care more closely? I don't know if you know the answer to that.
I don't. Michael, do you or Shelby know?
It's not, I don't believe that 211 knows about this resource.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
Is
is
it
our,
something
this
that
is
they
our
could?
first major blast.
Oh, okay, great.
Yep.
So is it something that we would want them to know about, or are we hoping like they are already sort of connected in with the homeless system of care?
I don't see a problem with them knowing about it, but again, looping back to the person has to have housing identified and basically the case manager is involved. So that's a very important piece.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll look and see if anybody, I don't know if anybody from.
That
the-
makes me think of
Oh,
a
Justin's
good
here.
question,
Great.
Michael,
Yeah.
is, am I unmuted? Yeah, okay. Because you mentioned the case manager needs to be involved. So does that mean a referral needs to come from another agency or provider? A youth cannot self-refer?
Yeah, that's what we've been doing.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That sounds clear. Nicholas?
Hey everyone, just a quick question. Is this I recently spoke to somebody at court and I think they were talking about the K Housing Security Fund. Is there any other similar housing security funds with around the same expiry date for outreach services or anything else? Or do you think that they were discussing this?
Core did reach out to us about this funding recently. So if your conversation was in the last week, it could be this funding source.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think it was, and yeah, I just talked to them within this week. So perhaps they were just touching base on this. So that's awesome. So I'd say Core probably knows about it then in collaboration with Hope Solutions. So that's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie?
So is it my understanding that the case manager should reach out to Jennifer in order to secure the funding or services for the TAU?
Yes, they should reach out to Jennifer at this time because it's kind of, I think maybe because it's such a low amount of youth, our goal is like 10 overall. So right now there's 8 more spots basically. But there's no like referral form at this time. It's not to say there never will be or anything, but reaching out to Jennifer, and letting her know your youth's information and what the situation is, okay, they're coming from my program and they've identified this housing XYZ, and she can kind of provide you the next steps from there or ask any further like eligibility or screening questions that need to happen and let you know like what she needs on her end.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I'll
Yeah.
be in a meeting after this meeting and this is information I wanted to share. And I want to make sure I send them to the right person and et cetera. So thank you.
Yep, definitely. Any other questions? Or comments?
One last comment. It's up to 10,000 per youth. There's like a total of 80 something thousand left in the fund. So in the event that one of the youth uses less than that $10,000, that potentially could open up referral spots in the future.
Great. And Michael, one thing that I really liked about this is it seemed from what you mentioned is that there's a possibility regarding rent like in the future or to be paid in advance.
That's correct.
So that's one thing that I liked about this program. They can pay a deposit and then a few months, depending on the amount, right, adding up to totaling 10,000 in advance if needed. Say maybe a youth just got a job, right? So it's like I need a couple months to really make it on my own kind of thing, or whatever the situation may be. I really like that because I know in like rapid rehousing, for example, we can't really always pay rent in advance, right? We have to pay it month by month, make sure people are still engaging kind of thing. So I thought that was a great aspect of this funding. Any other questions, comments? All righty. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michael, for your information on this and plugging that.
I actually had a question.
Go
This is
ahead, Leonard.
So would it go to, say, the landlord or would it go to the
Yes.
individual?
It would go to the landlord, right, Michael?
It would.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So hence why we would need like a W-9 from the landlord Also, if it's for like utilities, the check would be cut straight to the utility company like PG&E or, you know, Pittsburgh Water Department or whatever the case may be. It would go straight to the person, not to the participant. Any other questions before we move on? Alrighty. Thanks again, everyone. And we super appreciate your collaboration in helping us reach this goal to serve 8K by March. I'm sure we're going to get there now that more folks know about this funding. And remember, even if you think maybe there's a situation you're not sure, go ahead and reach out to Jennifer and ask her or send your referrals. Thank you. All right. So another quick little plug for a event happening this Saturday in Concord that I came across and some other folks came across. It's through Gifts of Hope. I will disclaimer that I'm not too familiar exactly with that group. Maybe some of you guys are, but we did receive a plug that they're hosting a holiday event this weekend on Saturday in Concord. So Saturday, December 10th from 12 to noon. It's going to be a toy giveaway. They'll have haircuts, activities for your family, like arts and crafts. Santa is, oh, how did I change it? Santa's supposed to make an appearance, you know, bounce house, raffles. And what is really great about this event is there is no pre-registration required. I know a lot of folks, families have been reaching out to many of us about like gift drives, signing up for holiday gifts, and a lot of those lists and registration have ended or closed. So this is also a great opportunity for anyone still kind of in need, as there's no pre-registration required. So please feel free to share this information with your families that you're working with, that they can show up there. 2250 Commerce Avenue, Suite D in Concord. And it sounds like a really fun family event. I'm like, shoot, maybe even I want to go, right? Get the kids out of the house, see Santa, do some arts and crafts. So I did want to make a plug for that. And also invite everyone, if you know of any holiday events happening, whether it be toy drives or just get-togethers, things that families can do safely together, please share those with us, whether in the chat or via email, so we can add, when we send this information out, we can add that just to share, because I know a lot of our families are asking about events in the community. And if anyone has any other ones to share, you could share that now too. Any questions or comments? All righty. Hopefully some of our families can make it out there. Sounds super fun. Moving on. So for me today for coordinated entry, I just have a couple reminders really around the coordinated entry APR. We will be running that report on Friday or maybe Monday, just to give more of you guys a chance to correct errors. But as a reminder, the coordinated entry APR is a report that we submit annually to HUD that really monitors coordinated entry goals, such as like referrals, how many folks are coming through our system, etc. And it's really important that our data is correct, so it's capturing all the awesome work that we're doing in our CLC, and help with, you know, funding opportunities for us. So please, if you are a provider who should be working on APR dashboard data corrections, yes, they were due on Friday, last Friday, but please, if you still are working on them, go ahead and keep working, because I will actually be running the report. I gave myself a little buffer and gave you all a little buffer from when I'll actually submit. So please, if you have the time, go in and continue to make corrections. I think I might have to bug some of you, because I think there's a few folks who haven't done any, or maybe one or two groups. I won't say a few. Thank you to all of you who have made a ton of corrections. huge shout out to like Tammy, who helped train a lot of us to make corrections and kind of screen people needing help for that. Huge shout out to Core, with you guys that are so busy out there in the field that many of you sat down together and buckled down in the offices to make those corrections. And I can totally see a difference. So thank you to Tammy, Red Team, and Core. For the rest of you, also thank you if you've done the corrections. And if there's still more, it would be really important for all of us together if you could go in and keep making any final corrections that you need to. Be really great. Also, this is a plug from, I think, a few meetings ago, but we have updated our coordinated entries policy and procedures. They are on our website if you want to check those out. Other than that, really the CEAPR is only the reminder and plug that I had for today. Any questions about that? All righty, moving along. So that brings us to Red Team. Tammy, I will turn it over to you. The first plug that I made was for the HMIS Policy Committee, and then I have your slide. I don't know if you want to say anything about this, otherwise I'll go to the next one.
Yeah, sure. So if you're, well, I believe the HMIS Policy Committee meeting is open to all, but if you're an agency administrator, please make sure that you're there. We have some new implementations rolling out related to how to request HMIS training. So I want to make sure that everybody understands the new process of how to request a training. We will be holding HMIS trainings more often. Every Wednesday for CE providers and every Thursday for non-CE provider trainings. And if you need additional training, specialty training, then you would submit your request the same way that we will present to you at the HMIS Policy Committee meeting. You'll just select other meeting, like it would be other meeting, and then you would select like you want a reports training or you want a specific module training. So we're trying to do a better job of grouping individuals to trainings that they should be present for, and try to streamline it more effectively. So I'm excited about that new change. Next slide, please.
It's stuck. Let's see. There we go.
Okay, clients served by multiple agencies and programs. So what I wanted to speak on about this topic is really it's related to Hope Solutions, Hume, and Core Mobile Outreach. 211, no, I'm sorry, I'm confusing the two. So Hope Solutions, Core and Street Outreach, Hume, and it can also include shelters. I'm sorry. What I am finding is that when a household is referred to Hope Solutions or Hume Center, the other referring agency is closing out clients as housed. When they do that, the system automatically closes our coordinated entry system program, which then prevents Hume and Hope Solutions from being able to add their events of problem solving. So one is, please make sure that before you're exiting your client to house, that they are truly housed. Secondly, for Hope Solutions and Hume, please make sure to enter your problem solving events in real time. Don't wait till the end. Immediately add it before the CES program automatically exits the client as housed, so we can avoid reopening the record. It's not an issue to reopen the record, but it can be if you should be tracking that event in real time. And also if your staff don't know how to do it and they're sending me multiple emails asking me to reopen the case. So I'm happy to train you if you do not know how to reopen a case. And a case should only be reopened if there's actually an error that you're correcting or a service or an event that you forgot to add, right? We shouldn't be reopening cases to continue services once they're closed. That would call for a new intake, a new enrollment record. Secondly, to touch on the 211 household entries. So we've kind of streamlined the process for 211 because they get so many calls in any given day. We want to try to make their workload as manageable as possible. So what we've agreed for 211 to do is only add the head of household or the caller that is in need of services, and then they would refer that head of household or caller to Hope Solutions diversion prevention program, or they might even refer to Hume, or they might even refer, well, they shouldn't be referring to Hume, but they might even be referring to Core Mobile Outreach. What the other agency needs to do, so Hope Solutions and Core, you need to make sure to verify the members in the household before you enroll them into your program. If you notice that additional members are not showing up on the global household, or that they're not connected to the program enrollment, then it will be your responsibility to search the system for additional clients. And if they don't exist, create a new profile and attach them to their head of households, global household, and connect them to the head of household's active enrollment record. So just be aware that the household composition may not be complete, and it's a cue for you to double check to ensure everyone is entered and enrolled. And
you.
next slide.
I think that might be the last one for you.
That's it. Awesome. Does anybody need a demonstration? Or I think it's pretty straightforward for those that it affects. But if you have questions, feel free to ask or send me an email if you want some one-on-one training. I'm happy to provide that to you.
Thank you so much, Tammy. And one thing I will say for folks as far as the 211 and the household, again, as Tammy said, this was done because, you know, when folks are calling 211, sometimes they're like in the middle of crisis. 211 is getting a lot of calls too. So we were finding that for them to sit there and try to literally basically intake and create profiles for an entire household, it was very time consuming, and it's was very hard on the callers. So to streamline it a little bit, make it a little easier for the participant and more efficient for 211 to get referrals out, it was changed for them to just enter the caller or head of household. So please, if you accept direct referrals from 211, like Tammy said, please be sure to always double check the household sides and who should be there, because you will probably now only be getting single households or single people, but that does not mean that it's only a single person household. Any other questions for Tammy? Questions, comments, concerns? Alrighty. Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
everyone.
Tammy. Thank you. I think that brings us to our, oh, it won't change. When I don't want it to change, it changes. Here we go. That brings us to Jamie J for some COC updates.
Thank you. We have a couple of things coming up that I wanted to let folks know about. So one is, hopefully you've seen, so there will be a homeless persons memorial event. So way back in the day, ANCA used to host an event. When ANCA folded, it kind of stopped, and the Council on Homelessness decided to, as part of the Homeless Awareness Month planning stuff, to try and resurrect this. So there's two pieces. I'm gonna drop in the chat actually a link. There's been an email that's gone out on Constant Contact that has both a link to the actual event, a flyer that you can print out if there's folks that you want to let know about it, and we're asking folks to submit any names that they know of that they want to have read at the event. So we we as the county, when I say we, I mean like me as H3. So we have information from the coroner's office about how many people have died, but we're not allowed to share any names or anything specific like that. But you all have the opportunity if you want to, or people that you're working with, or folks that you know that have lost people that died while they were experiencing homelessness. We'll read the names. We're going to have a whole event. So when I can get this together over here, okay, I'm going to share the link. So it's a constant contact email that has a couple different links in it. So it's all in one place. So if you have names, we encourage you, you can, you know, if it's somebody's nickname, just a first name is fine. We'll basically do a reading. It'll be a virtual event, just to clarify. This year we're doing it virtual just to like keep it simple. Any questions about the memorial event? I'm happy to like pause and take a moment. And I know Shane, right? Shane, you were the backbone of the one that used to happen. So thank you for all the work that you've done on that in the past. And we are happy to take any input or suggestions. Yeah, any questions related to this event?
I just put in the chat, thank you very much for continuing this. It is close to my heart, as I'm sure it is for everyone else. So I'm glad to see that it is continuing. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. So this will be our first year organizing it under the council umbrella. So I'm sure there will be room for improvement, but happy to take feedback and would love to see folks there. The second thing I wanted to flag is we are having a case management training on Monday with Natalie and Shelby. And so I'm going to put the link to that training. So we have a ton of people signed up, but want to just flag this is a required training, especially for staff working in shelters, care centers, rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing programs, and DV. And managers are also invited and encouraged to attend. So this is the registration link. And again, we'll be virtual and we'll have the recording and the slide decks available, but I think it's really great if you can make it to the actual training. I think there'll be opportunity for questions and that kind of thing. Anybody else want to add anything about that training, Natalie or Shelby? Your chance to do a plug. Okay.
Sorry, I was talking, but I was on mute.
Oh, good.
No, nothing to add. Just I hope we get a good turnout. And we did this training last year, something very similar. So just a nice refresher, some helpful hinters for case management across the COC. So we hope to see you there.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, 2 more plugs. So the Council on Homelessness Equity Committee is finishing up this next meeting on the 13th. We're going to be finishing up their work plan. And the thing that they've chosen to work on over the next year is creating some educational like materials, tools, and figuring out how to get information out about how to even start to access services and then kind of what happens once somebody makes contact with those 3 access points of call, care, and core. So if you're interested in this, you are welcome to come to this meeting, but also like there's going to be opportunities. We're probably going to be reaching out to you as that work unfolds. But that meeting's coming up on the 13th. The last thing, so the primary way that we communicate with everybody is through constant contact, right? You see like 30 bajillion emails. We have a bunch of different mailing lists. And so part of what I'm always trying to do is make sure people are getting the information that they want and not getting information that they don't want, because they don't want you guys to tune us out. And there's like a million, we're working on some ways to actually improve this. But if you ever, you can go in yourself actually and double check sort of what you're, actually you can't double check, but you can go back in and make sure that you've selected all the things that you actually want to have. I'm also just reach out to me one-on-one and we can do like a 15-minute meeting where we pull up and I can actually look behind the scenes and see what kind of information you're signed up to get. Because we have information about meetings, but we also have information. Wow. We also have, no, it's all good. information if you want stuff about youth or veterans or funding opportunities. We don't send everything to everybody. So just a plug about that, and I'll put you can go back in and update that if you want to. I will put that link in there too about just how to get to the mailing list. I think that's everything for me.
Thank you, Jamie. Any questions or comments for Jamie about any of these events she shared? Alrighty. I'll just make a plug too for the memorial event. I think please, if you haven't submitted any names or shared it with your staff or colleagues, please do so. I'm really happy that we're going to be able to have this event again. And I know for some of our staff, especially or you staff that are like direct service, this can be a very kind of healing and a nice event to find community and kind of like a shared experience that many of us have had with the loss of a participant. So please come out and be in community with us for that. And then the case management training, again, this is one that gets requested a lot, and it's really great as both a refresher and for all the new staff. Thank you, Jamie. Oh, and that brings us to our pit count update. Jamie S., are you on? I can turn it over to you. Yep, there we go.
Hi, everyone. So just a really quick pit count update. We got our pit count methodology approved by the Council on Homelessness last week, and that's a really big milestone in the pit process every year. So we are pretty much ready to go with how we're going to be conducting the pit count. And just a quick save the date for the morning of January 25th, 2023. That's when we'll be doing the observational count out in the community. The shelter count will happen the night before, January 24th, night of. And so for more details, we are having pit subcommittee meetings. And one is actually today, later this morning. If you want to join and hear more about the grids and the mapping and whatnot, that'll be happening. And we'll be having one that'll focus on volunteer recruitment and have more details then. So really early slice update, not a lot of details, but pit is moving. We're really excited for 2023 and really hoping to make this one even better than they've been in the past.
Thank you, Jamie. Any questions or comments regarding pit count?
I'll just add, I put a link to the pit count committee meeting that's happening at 10 today in the chat. And this is an opportunity if you like, hey, there's people that's at this intersection. That's the kind of level that we're looking for. We are not recruiting for volunteers yet, but we will. Will it be recorded? We will be actually, that's a really good question about will that pit meeting be recorded? We have decided that we would not like to share the meeting recording because in that meeting, we will be capturing very specific data and information about where vulnerable people live. And we like to assume goodwill, but we don't want to put anybody in jeopardy. So if there are bad actors, we don't want them to know like, hey, there's some folks that are unsheltered in this particular section of woods and be able to go target them. So what will happen with all that information is our team behind the scenes is will make sure that those spots that get identified are captured sort of on our mapping grid about where we're going to send volunteers to go canvas when it's time to do the actual count. So I say that all to say, also, if you can't make that meeting today, but you do have some specific information, you can always email any of us, including the COC email in the chat, and we'll make sure that gets thrown into the hopper with all the other stuff. So the big encampments, like we know about, but we're really looking for like, hey, in my neighborhood, there's like a couple people that hang out in this one area that CORE or other outreach might not know about. And just to reiterate, when the pit count happens, we're not going to go like disturb people. We literally just want to like, yep, check, so that we capture a full picture of what's happening. We're not trying to like get into people's living space and disturb them. We're not going to be interacting with people. We just want to know so that we can capture the data, which, by the way, is how decisions get made about funding. So the better this count is, the more complete picture we have of who's experiencing unsheltered homelessness, the better it is for our community in terms of getting the services and resources we need. I will get off my soapbox. That's it.
Thank you, Jamie. So yeah, if you're unable to make today's meeting, you can certainly email us. There will be future meetings focused on things like volunteer recruitment, and there will be trainings in January, all of which will have more details released soon.
That's great. Thank you. I have one little question, which it might not be determined yet, but just in case. I know that last year, if you volunteered, you were able to either like walk around and do the count, or some of us drove and kind of observed from our cars. Is that going to be the same or similar, or will it be like all on foot, all in car, either, depending on your area, maybe?
I think it'll depend on the area, and I think
yeah.
so it'll probably look pretty similar to last year.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of that is spelled out in the methodology that the council approved that I do not have at the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I'll just say
Putting
too,
you on the spot.
when we do the volunteer recruitment, there's going to be some clear descriptions of the kinds of things that people will be asked to do. For the most part, like general community volunteers will not be getting out of their cars.
Okay.
Some staff may be asked to help with some of that stuff, but we'll have conversations with you one-on-one. And yeah, so you'll like select, you know, specific areas to canvas, and you'll be given instructions and training about how to do all of it. But general community volunteers will not be getting out of their cars, just as a general rule.
Perfect. Thank you, Jamie and Jamie. Any other questions before we move on? All right, so hopefully everyone saved the date, January 25th, add it to your work calendar now, because I'm sure all our work calendars get busy, so that we can hope to see you there. Thanks, everyone. Let's see. Moving along. If my computer will let me. There we go. Okay, that was the last of our announcements, reminders, resources. So now in our last few minutes here, we can go ahead and share any community provider announcements, or I didn't have a slide for this, but if anyone also wants to share a success story, that's welcome. So do any of you have any announcements or things you would like to share for the group? Questions? Okay, go ahead, Wayne. Kicking us
Hi.
off.
Hi, Bay Area Rescue Mission is providing our boxes of hope, which are full, it looks like ham this year, and all the fixings for Tuesday, December 20th from 8:30 to 11:30 a.m. At 123 McDonald. You have to register online, and the deadline to register is December 16th. I'll put that into the chat. Also, we have Christmas dinner meals all the entire week of Christmas, December 21st to December 25th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and for dinner, for lunch and dinner, all week long. So, and that's anybody who wants to come, who needs a meal, just come on down to 200 McDonald in Richmond, and we've got food for you.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Wayne. Leslie?
Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so great news on two fronts. One, we are fast approaching our starting date for our evening program, which is our temporary emergency overnight winter shelter. We're set, cross your fingers that the inspection happening tomorrow goes well, set to start on Monday evening. It's just a short-term shelter, and it's congregate this year in a way, in the old style, in that we won't be having people in separate tents and everything. But because of that, we can actually accommodate more people. The process to apply takes a couple of weeks because there are vaccines required, TB testing required, and honestly, all of this is because of our agreement with the city of Walnut Creek and their agreement with the California State Military, because it operates out of the Armory. None of us are trying to put barriers in people's way, but these requirements have to be met. So best suggestion is for anybody who's interested, come to Trinity Center, start to become a member, and we can get you in the pipeline for that program. Just because someone isn't ready to start when we open on Monday doesn't mean they can't then avail themselves of the resource through the entire winter season, because we're going to be operating until the middle of April. So it's not, you know, people won't miss the opportunity, and we want to keep building the number of people who are using the resource, kind of like the pit count. You know, the more we show that there's demand for it, the stronger our argument for continuing funding. So please have people either call 211, get a referral through CORE, or just show up at Trinity Center to begin that process. So yay, that's happening. And also our success story, we're so happy about this. We talked a while back about how Trinity Center is part of a partnership that took over ownership of an apartment complex in Pleasant Hill, with one of the goals to keep it affordable for people and open some more doors to people who are exiting homelessness into permanent housing. And I'm really excited to share that just before Thanksgiving, the first family got their keys. And it was truly a team effort because Shelter Inc. was able to help with the security deposit and work well with us and with the property manager. So another successful housing placement for a very vulnerable family, and we're so thankful for that. That's it, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Leslie. Any questions for Leslie? You can go ahead and shout out because I don't want to mix. I see other folks with announcements, but if you have a question, go ahead.
Mary, someone asked in the chat, Valerie asked in the chat, how many beds are at the winter shelter?
We're slated to be 38, but under certain emergency conditions, emergency weather conditions, or an emergency condition as identified by local authorities or the police, we can take on an emergency basis more people, but we're slated for 38. We're nowhere near that number yet, so we definitely have capacity.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Any other questions for Leslie?
Of operation, they can come in at what time and leave at what time?
Sure, let me just highlight that. So people arrive at Trinity Center, which is in Walnut Creek, by about 5:30 for dinner at Trinity Center. And then people go over in vans to the Armory where they, about 6, 7 o'clock, where they set up their sleeping items, which are all, you know, private and personal and self-contained. And lights out are at 10. Everybody wakes up again by 6 and then heads back to Trinity Center by van in the morning for either our hot breakfast and day services, or if it's on the weekend, for a grab and go breakfast. So it's not the Ritz-Carlton, but it is safe and warm and community building. And then hopefully during the day, people will stay at Trinity Center and work with us and with our support on some of their other goals.
Great.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Leslie.
Leslie.
I see Tiffany, then Vanessa, Fatima, and Jill. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Good morning, everyone. Excited to be here and to learn about it. So I just wanted to briefly introduce myself. Again, my name is Tiffany Jones, and I serve as the district director for our newly elected assembly member representing portions of Contra Costa County and Solano, as well as a portion of Sacramento County, Lori D. Wilson. I also see one of my field reps, Kai Eusebio, on the line. I just wanted to introduce ourselves in our office and let you know that we are here. We are available, and we really want to partner with you all in your endeavors with homelessness. Is actually one of our members' top priorities as far as quality of life. And so any events that you have, any concerns that you have as far as legislation, myself and Kai are available to you all. I will go ahead and drop our information in the chat so that you can reach out to us. Again, our office is still located in Fairfield right now. And so that does not hinder us from coming out to you all. And just to kind of give you an overview of what the new Assembly District 11 looks like. We currently serve all of Solano County. We have a small portion of Sacramento County. It's probably about 150, residents in that area. We lost in the redistricting Pittsburgh, Antioch, and we lost Pittsburgh, Antioch, and Brentwood. So our current cities are now Oakley, Discovery Bay, Knightson, Ileton, and any of those unincorporated areas along the Delta, including the city of Rio Vista in that. And so again, that doesn't stop our office from, being able to support you all in those efforts. Grayson is now the assembly member that is attached to those cities that we lost, but we do partner still with the Grayson office while this exchange is going on. And just to kind of give you guys an overview of what our office actually does besides having us available. If you have constituents that are having issues with state agencies such as DMV, Social Security, not Social Security, but SSI, EDD, sometimes a call from our office really does help. So I do not want you guys to hesitate in calling our office so that we can make that point of contact for your constituents that, may not be getting an appropriate answer from any state agency that we partner with. And so I am, again, a resource. I'll go ahead again and put my information in the chat. I have to keep saying this when I go into meetings. You are not bothering me or my staff. When it comes to asking questions or inviting us places. If we can get there, we will definitely try to get there. But I want you to reach out. We want to form these relationships because, again, it's important. I mean, the work that you all do and continue to do is not for naught. And I want you guys to know that we are here to support you. Our member is very committed to doing this work. And again, if there's any pieces of legislation that we need to be looking at, if there's any pools and pots of money that we know could be attached to, resources in this new district, the only way that we know about it is we have to be informed, and we want to make sure that that relationship is reciprocal. Again, before I get off of here, I'll definitely put my name, information in the chat. Please, again, feel free to reach out to us. But I just wanted to hop on today and say thank you for the work that you all continue to do. And I look forward to the next, decade, really, cross our fingers, of continued partnership to really eliminate this issue. And because it's no excuse in the greatest state in America, with all of the resources that we have, we should not be fighting this uphill battle continuously. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for your commitment to this. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you. So that's all I have.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. I'm so glad you found your way here. Definitely, for everyone on the call, Tiffany is a great resource as she mentioned, for those state agencies, which definitely, I'm sure, Tiffany, you may have folks reach out there, as well as helping us to advocate for certain things that we need, whether it be legislation, funding, right? So it's great that we have her joining. Thank you, Tiffany. Vanessa, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to share a success we had at Castro, their first Thanksgiving celebration last month, and it was truly a blessing. We served over 65 residents that day, and it was a festive. And so the Bay Area Rescue Mission, they actually prepared the food, and CORE picked up the food, and so it was a community effort. It was all hands on deck, and one of the residents came and he was in tears, and he said, thank you. He said, had you not put this event together, I would have had to spend Thanksgiving alone, but because of this, I didn't have to. And so it was really their community. We had clothes, we had COVID tests for them. We played cards and dominoes. It was really wanting to bring them in and give them a sense of hope. And I believe that that was accomplished. Also, this coming Saturday, we are partnering with other community members, with Rock Harbor Christian Fellowship and then Living Hope Neighborhood Church, as well as some other community members. And we're going to do Christmas tree decorating, kind of to bring some festivities to the encampment. There's a lot of things going on, and they're in a trauma state constantly. And so the hope is to bring some hope and to bring some joy during this time, and to be able to help them through this process of getting housing. The last success story is we was able to identify a family at Castro, and they'll be moving into a brand new apartment, the mother and their daughter, before Christmas. So it's a great Christmas gift to them. And I thank all of you for the work that you're doing in our community as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. I love to hear the success stories, especially all our folks getting housed for the holidays, the Thanksgiving meal. Thank you for sharing. Fatima, I know you had your hand up, it went down, but I see you're still here. Anything you wanted to mention?
Well, I need to hop off for another meeting, but thank you for always having this forum. Berkeley Food and Housing Project hasn't been involved in these meetings as much as we'd like to be. But I'm making sure that we're going to be part of this and making sure that we remove barriers for veterans and also connect folks that don't qualify for our programs but may qualify for yours, and ensure that there's continuity in the services we provide. But I wanted to share that we've kind of expanded our programs. For those who don't know about our Roads Home SSVF program, we operate in 6 counties, and we're also moving into our 7th county, which is in San Francisco. So we, we're looking for great staff that have a client-centered approach and want to serve the population. And we also like to focus on hiring veterans. So if you have any veterans in any of your programs that are kind of ready to take that next step, please make sure to send them to our website so that they can submit their application and, start to take the next step in giving back if that's what they'd like to do, or maybe starting to explore a career choice.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Fatima. And you guys are really doing so much over at Berkeley Food and Housing and in multiple counties. And I think a lot of us just see maybe the little piece of SSVF, which there's so much more to. So if you ever also want to come and do a few slides and plug any other things that you guys have going on, you're always welcome. And again, if you guys have any questions too around Berkeley Food and Housing, or maybe you come across people in other counties, veterans in other counties, note that Berkeley Food and Housing has services in really just a wide area. So feel free to reach out to Fatima. Thank you, Fatima. Any other announcements or anything else before we wrap up? I think we're right on perfect timing.
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
I had a question for Leslie about the Winter Nights program. 1, do they accept dogs? And 2, how does somebody get referred to that? Because she's been trying to get in there for a minute and she keeps telling me that she can't, and I don't know why, but that's my question.
Sir, I put this in the chat too, because I saw this was a question. Our written agreements with the city and theirs with the military naturally provide for service animals. If the animal companion doesn't meet that criteria, we're going to do our level best to make sure that's not a barrier to someone participating. And that's my bureaucratic way of addressing that. And then as far as an individual getting into the process, really the best thing is come show up at Trinity Center. And if she needs to drop my name to make sure that she's not falling through the cracks, please feel free to do that. We're small. So.
Nice. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep, that's wonderful. And note that Trinity is one of the care centers. So Joe, I know that they have like some hours too, but that sounds like a great way to get through. I know we're at our time. I'm going to stay on because I have time, and I see some hands coming up. So if you're, around, feel free to stay on. Otherwise, thanks everyone for joining. Melissa?
Yeah, just a quick question for Leslie. Is it just for single adults, the Winter Nights program?
Yes.
And
well,
can
for
couples go
adults,
together?
I'm sorry, if it's for adults 18 and up, we can't accommodate minor children. However, Winter Nights shelter program might be a resource for a family with minor children. If 2 people are a couple, again, one of the requirements for the program is that people sleep separately. So I know that could be an obstacle in some cases.
Got it.
So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Stephanie?
Oh, I was trying to send out a text to a chat and to everyone, but I just want to thank everybody for all your hard work. I appreciate learning from you all and the supports and services that you provide. And I want to wish you all happy holidays, stay safe, and let's just keep fighting the fight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie, and likewise. Nicole?
Hi, everyone. I just have a quick question for Leslie. Is there any restrictions around someone that may be in reentry for the training center?
Not at all. However, we do vet the names with the Walnut Creek Police Department.
Okay.
So people should know that going into it. Generally, that's not an issue. And if an issue surfaces, we try to work through that. But reentry status as per se is not a barrier at all.
Could I reach out to you personally about, I don't want to disclose their situation on it, but I have a general question because there's a few people that are getting released and will be homeless for the holidays. And CORE, I would definitely say that CORE has been awesome with us inside of the county jails in reference to connecting individuals to housing, but there's certain individuals based on their background that we may have trouble with. So I just wanted to see if there's anything out there, or even if you can assist, if you know of some resources, that will be awesome, because I don't want them outside if possible. So
I'm going to put my email and phone number in the chat for anybody's purposes, although I think you probably already have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments before we wrap up? All righty. Well, thank you everyone for joining, for sharing your resources. And we look forward to seeing you at the next provider call, the second Thursday of January, which I don't have. Oh, wait, actually, I have it on a slide. So I did that. January 12th. So we hope to see you there. If you would like to share something about your program, or anything like that, and make a few slides, please feel free to shoot me an email. Or if you know of another provider that, or a resource that would be helpful that you came across that you would like to share, please feel free to reach out to me. And I hope everyone has a very happy holiday season, whether it's Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, or just happy family time or rest and refresh time, whatever it is. I know we all need that always. So please enjoy this time. And thank you all so much for the work you're doing, and Happy New Year. And we will see you in January or at next week's case management training or any of the events that we have going on. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.